Happy Friday, everyone, and happy June. May is officially over, which also means the Bib Rave Strava run streak is also over. I managed to make it all the way through the month of May, running at least a mile every single day. It was a hell of a ride. It was very difficult, which I'll get into a little bit later, but I learned a lot along the way as well. So what I wanted to focus on in this week's iRunOnBeer Friday 5 is going through the 5 things that I learned completing an entire month of a run streak. I haven't done too many run streaks in the past before. This was actually, I think, the second long-term run streak I've done. I did one as part of Runner's World probably years ago now at this point. But Bib Rave launched the idea of doing the May run streak. I definitely needed the motivation, needed the commitment to get me through the month of May. We'll also go over that a little bit later, but wanted to go through the 5 things that I learned this month running at least a mile every single day. So before we jump into this week's episode, if you like what you see as you're watching, I hope you'll give me a like down below. That just helps others find the content as well. And if you do enjoy the episode, if this is your first time tuning in, please feel free to go back to my channel. There's plenty of more episodes to tune into, and make sure you subscribe so you can catch all the upcoming content. So without further ado, let's jump into this week's topic. The first thing that I learned immediately in attempting this run streak for the month of May is that it is a lot harder than it sounds, and also a lot harder than I remember it being. I don't necessarily mean hard physically. It's definitely doable. I don't want to dissuade you from doing it. If you're thinking of attempting a run streak, you can definitely do it. What I mean by difficult is A, it was just very hard to remember to run. It wasn't part of my routine to make sure I was running every single day, so just on my rest days remembering, oh yeah, I'm doing a run streak, I need to run a mile today. And on the days that I did forget early on and had to push the run till the end of the day, it was also a lot of internal arguments. Oh, do I really have to? Am I gonna force myself out the door? The conditions aren't great. Maybe I had just eaten dinner and remember that I had to go for a run, which happened on several occasions. But yeah, just getting in that initial habit of remembering to run a mile every single day was a lot harder than I was expecting and took a little while to get used to. Number 2, procrastination is your worst enemy. This I learned again very early on, especially on the days that I forgot to get the run in early in the morning, or even if I remembered that I was supposed to run but just said, I'll just do it when I get home from work. Those days were definitely some of the hardest runs because often that meant I was running late at night, the weather might be bad. A lot of times I would also do my run immediately after dinner. Memorial Day was especially challenging after a full day barbecuing, drinking, eating hot dogs, etc. Very painful to run through all of that. Ran after a couple happy hours, which wasn't ideal, but very quickly learned it is a lot harder to convince yourself to get out on a run when your belly's full, when you're a little buzzed, when the conditions aren't great. It's much easier if you can get the run out of the way immediately so you don't have to worry about it later on. I think that's true with all training, but especially during the run streak, procrastination was really a killer and something that I had to learn over and over and over again, and really hadn't quite perfected by the end of the month. Started to get better, but was definitely a challenge throughout. Number 3, you really learn to appreciate your true rest days. Don't get me wrong, running a mile may not seem super challenging, but when you think about it, you're tacking on a mile day in, day out. Every single day you got to get that run in. I definitely found myself missing those true rest days where I didn't have to worry about running at all. I could just focus on recovery, kick my legs out, maybe ice, roll out on a foam roller, do some yoga, some stretching, etc. Just focus solely on recovery without having to focus recovery on top of additional running. So again, this was something that got easier over time. Your body kind of gets used to the demand of running every day. After a week or so, when you realize that this is what you're going to be doing, this is the new normal, and it has to get used to it. But throughout the month, I definitely found myself longing for those true rest days, and by June 1st, I had this giant internal debate with myself. I made it through 31 days. I kind of wanted to go for an even 50. That seemed like a cool number, but I also was like, it's June. I don't have to run today if I don't want to. Ultimately, the rest day inside of me won. I ended up not running, broke the streak on that day. I figured it was easier just to rip off the Band-Aid. Maybe if I had done a run right in the morning, I would have continued to keep the streak going, but I let myself have that debate throughout the day and ultimately decided just to take that true rest day. I earned it. I made it through the month-long running streak, and definitely appreciated not having to run, just getting to focus on that recovery. Number 4 was one of the favorite things that I learned about myself during this challenge, and that is that you can really learn to overcome a lot throughout a run streak. And what I'm talking about here is specifically some of the mental challenges that you might face as a runner. I think as runners, we oftentimes, if you're not maybe feeling up to a run or something like that, the conditions aren't perfect, you're a little bit tired from yesterday's run, it's very easy to come up with excuses why you deserve the day off or why you can just skip this run, it's okay. And sometimes you do need a rest, but a lot of times it's just maybe letting that mental challenge or that mental block kind of get in the way and prevent you from getting that workout in, where if maybe you had fought a little bit harder, you would have. The nice thing about doing a run challenge where you know you have to run every day is it is harder to succumb to those excuses when they are true excuses. Like I said, there are definitely days where you shouldn't run, but there are also, at least for me, plenty of days where I know I can can run, but something inside is like, oh, I just don't want to today. And sometimes that nagging voice of I just don't want to wins out. So like I said, doing the run challenge, the nice thing about that is, yes, you might sacrifice a harder run for just getting in that mile, but you're still forcing yourself to get out the door and get on that run, and you learn to kind of strengthen your mind and improve your ability to overcome that voice that's telling you to avoid the run because you have to go out and run. This is especially difficult on the days, like I said, where I had 5 or 6 hot dogs at the barbecue, come home from a happy hour where I'd had 6 or 7 drinks, and remembered, oh my god, I have to go out on a run, knowing it was going to be horrible, knowing it was going to be painful, and still forcing myself to get out the door. And the fourth thing, like I said, that I really wanted to stress that I learned this month was how much you can overcome and how much you can learn to kind of strengthen your internal arguing ability so that you can win out over that voice that's trying to make excuses why you can't run. Last but certainly not least, the number 5 thing I learned by completing the monthly challenge of running at least a mile every day for the month of May with Bib Rave was just how great that sense of accomplishment at the end of the month can feel. I love doing monthly challenges because I feel like you can force yourself to do just about anything throughout a month. It's long enough that it definitely takes a lot of commitment, but not too long that it seems overbearing. So I feel like a month-long challenge is the perfect amount of time to take on something new, take on some kind of new challenge, and doing a run streak was a perfect example of that. For me especially, I had just finished my racing season. My last big race of the spring season was at the very beginning of May, and usually this is that time of the year where I settle into a funk. I'm not sure exactly what races I'm going to run in the fall. I don't necessarily have goals picked out for myself right now, and I kind of settle into a slump where I start to lose my motivation because there's not a specific goal that I'm training for. I'm still working with my coach, still working on improving myself as a runner, but don't necessarily have that big goal race at the finish line to work on. So I usually have trouble with motivation, and this run streak came in at the perfect time to give me something to challenge myself, something to work towards, and kind of get me through that period so that I'm back in that positive time of running where I feel myself improving. I got through that slump, I feel good about my training, and I'm excited to continue to get better throughout the summer. I might not have any races on my calendar, but I'm excited just to see what challenges I can overcome throughout the month. Gonna work in a lot more trail running, strength training, things like that maybe I don't have as much time for when I'm hardcore training for a race, and completing a running streak was the perfect way to kind of, like I said, get through that slump and get the motivation I needed to really come back to training with full force, ready to kick off the summer and head into the fall. So I could definitely see how, especially for beginner runners, a run streak could really help, to just build the habit, but again, just to give you that sense of accomplishment that you need, that dopamine rush, just to kind of get you committed to the activity and help you build that strong running routine. So number 5, final thing, by far and away, the greatest part about running the run streak was feeling that sense of accomplishment at the end and using that to continue to motivate my training moving forward. So those are just 5 quick things that I learned by completing the Bib Rave run streak through the month of May, running a mile, at least a mile every single day of the month. It was a lot of fun. If you are considering trying out a run streak, I would highly encourage you to do so. Like I said, there are some challenges, but those challenges are really just kind of getting used to the new routine of running every single day. Once you get over those initial humps, the benefits really just pay off so much more, greatly outweigh the cons. I would highly encourage you to try it out. It is absolutely worth it. If you are interested in trying out some kind of run streak, I would also encourage you to seek out some of the groups that do it. I know Runner's World sponsors a couple of run streaks throughout the year. I'm sure Bib Rave will do another one soon. It makes it a lot more enjoyable and a lot easier because you not only just have yourself to motivate you, but you have the entire group kind of cheering you on as well. That was one of my favorite parts about this month's run streak, was doing it with all the Bib Rave pros and all the other runners around the world who joined in, was getting to share that experience through social media and things like that, getting to cheer others on, but then also having others root you on throughout the process. So like I said, I hope you're willing to try it out. If you're considering it, I hope this video pushed you in the right direction. Maybe you're in the middle of a run streak right now. If you are, please let me know how far in you are in the comments below. It continues to amaze me just how long some people are able to maintain a run streak. I know people who have been doing it for years, some people decades, even longer. It is incredible what people can accomplish. I think back to days when I am just horribly ill, had food poisoning, like my absolute worst conditions, and imagining there are people who wake up feeling like this and say, oh, I have my 50-year run streak that I have to continue, and are able to motivate themselves to get out of bed, make it through that mile, and I just cannot believe that there are people who have the mental dexterity to do that. So kudos to you. Like I said, if you're in the run streak, let me know how many days in you are. I would love to hear the different numbers from people around the world, so let me know. I hope you enjoyed the video. Congratulations on making it through another week. If you enjoyed this video, I hope you give it a like so that other people might find it as well, and also make sure you subscribe to make sure you don't miss any future episodes. So like I said, congratulations on making it to Friday. Enjoy your weekend. Cheers.